As always, we had a few nice trades from the daily market breakdown videos throughout the week. Now let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Alright, going to be starting out here with the DXY, the US dollar index. As you can see, this past week, guys, we had a beautiful trend to the upside. Things were looking really positive for the DXY. It looked like we were going to create a daily uptrend, but as you can see, we broke below demand zone, and it did at first, if we kind of just zoom in here, it did at first kind of look like some sort of fake out here, and now we're going to push back up and continue to the all-time highs. And why did I think that? Well, because it already happened once before. If you look back here, we had a trend line coming up here. Same thing, we broke demand, broke a trend line, came back up, pushed to the all-time highs, but clearly just a lot of manipulation here on the DXY, because we even broke a supply zone, pierced above it, and then pushed down. And as indicated as my downward arrow here, we have a downward trend on the 4-hour chart. So things are definitely looking weak, and it's pretty unfortunate because looking at the daily chart, okay, yeah, we do have demand down below, and I would say it's somewhat strong at 104.37, but the problem is it's tested already once, so it's not really the best area of demand. I don't mind that it was barely tested, so I think we could kind of hesitate around here, but ultimately, since the demand zone is tested and it's a very obvious pivot, I personally think we're going to break it. But what I'm scared of is that it'll be some sort of fake out, and we'll just kind of continue to base out sideways here on the DXY, which would just be terrible. I don't want to see a big daily range here. I want to see some sort of trend. And unfortunately, if we do break the low, we will have a daily downtrend, but we really need to hold down here and continue to push down for me to be really, really bearish here on the dollar. So as far as, overall direction, where is the dollar headed? It's extremely difficult to tell right now, right? If we go back up to the weekly chart, there's not even a weekly trend, right? We've just been basing out. I wouldn't say basing out, but just going up and down and just kind of hanging out in the middle now. Failed to break the high here. So, there's really not any clear direction on the dollar right now. All we really have to go off of are these two time frames, the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. And to me, both of them are showing weakness. And I think we will be continuing to be weak, like I said, until we hit this daily demand at 104.37. So I believe there is some more downward pressure here to be seen in the dollar, at least down at this daily demand. I personally think we will be breaking it just based on the fact that it is tested. But don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to blast through the zone unless it's some sort of news event. I think we will hesitate to break the zone, but ultimately we will probably be breaking it, in my opinion. So that is pretty much all I have to say here on the dollar. It's not looking amazing, guys. I won't lie to you and be like, wow, this is super clear to read. It's difficult, right? It's difficult to really predict where price is headed. And there's not much we can do about that. Again, we only have trends in the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart to go off of. So look, shorting the dollar right now could be good for sure. I think that would be fine. But day trading is going to be the highest odds since we don't have a daily or a weekly trend here on the DXY. All right, now we're going to be looking at the Euro US dollar forecast. So you can see just a lot of upward pressure here in the Euro. Things are looking really, really strong right now. We are pushing back up to this rally-based drop supply zone at 1.08. It wasn't tested, but based on the fact that the inverse daily demand zone was tested, we could pretty much call it tested. But it is technically fresh, so we could react off of it. But ultimately, I think, again, we will probably be breaking it. Obviously, it's just the inverse of the DXY, so I personally think we will be breaking the zone. There is even supply above, but look how much this supply zone was tested here, guys. I don't really count that as quality supply anymore. But, again, I'm just looking for some sort of trend to have on a daily chart. As a swing trader, I like to see daily and weekly trends. I don't care too much about a 4-hour or a 1-hour trend. It's better for day traders, but as a swing trader, I like to see clear highs and lows being formed with a trend line on the daily chart so I can trade with that trend. So it has been difficult to be trading, I will not lie. On the 4-hour chart, however, we did get this beautiful little rally-based rally 4-hour demand zone trade right there. And that is from the daily market breakdown video, which is basically what I'm doing here on YouTube, but throughout the week for my forecast. So if you want to get access to that, check out the Diamond membership. Links are in the description down below, guys. We have daily market breakdown videos, Sunday live sessions where we talk strategy, pretty much a one-on-one at that point. And also Discord group, Sunday live stream forecast as well, and video lessons. So if you want access to that, check it out. Links in the description down below. We have lifetime access available as well if you don't want to pay the monthly fees. So it's a pretty good membership, guys. We'll be happy to see serious traders join the team. And as you can see now, we have a 4-hour uptrend here on the euro. So I would say day trading long is fine. If you like to day trade, on a 15-minute chart and even a 5-minute chart as well. These are the two time frames I would be looking for longs at as long as this momentum continues here on the euro. Now, if we do get a deep pullback, let's say price turns around now and we start to pull back, I've identified this pretty nice rally-based rally, and you can see it's a beautiful rally-based rally, right? It's just a nice little rally-based rally. Tight basing, beautiful move away, so I really like that area. However, it'd be pretty deep pullback, but it's definitely possible, right? So if we do pull back down at 1.07, that's where I would be looking for longs on a 1 hour chart right there. Again, beautiful rally-based rally, picture perfect basing and move away. So if we do pull back, that would be where I'd be looking for longs at. And obviously, going back to the daily chart here, if we do in fact break the high in the daily chart, at that point, guys, I will be way more bullish on the euro as long as we can hold above that and we don't see something like this where we get some sort of candle, just a wick above, and then we start to rally off again. That's what I'm really nervous about. I want to see a good trend, which would just increase the odds of swing trades working out as well. So look, if you're bearish, I don't really see any bearish trading like short setups at all right now, if I'm being honest with you guys. If you really want to short, I would definitely just wait for the supply zone to be hit and then look for maybe a confirmation trade in there. But since it's pretty much tested based on the DXY, I would probably look to take profit somewhat early. I would only be looking for like 2-to-1s, maybe 3-to-1s max off of a zone like this, right? Since I am expecting it to break, it doesn't mean we won't see a small move, and on a smaller time frame, a small move like this could be like a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, right? So it's all about situational awareness, and I personally think that zone's going to break. So, any trades to the short side have to be taken with a grain of salt. But hopefully we can get a pullback down to that 1 hour demand zone, get a nice trade. But in the meantime, guys, 4 hour trends to the upside. It's day trading longs all the way. Alrighty, onto the forecast for gold. You can clearly see we had two supply zones here, and I called out these two supply zones. We did hesitate at this one. This one we pretty much blew right through, although I think we might have got a move off of it there. I had to go down a lower time frame. But anyways, two supply zones broken here on gold. Now, I was pointing out these supply zones as potential trading setups. I did prefer this one over this one based on the fact that it's some sort of liquidity short, and obviously we were wrong. Both of those zones broke. And why were we wrong on these zones? Well, it's pretty clear in my opinion. Although I was pointing out the areas for potential short trades, I was telling everyone to trade at risk. And why? Well, because look at the weekly trend. It's clearly up. Momentum is up. However, this is kind of going sideways. When like if you just zoom in right here, right? If you're just hyper focused on this right here, shorts are going to look pretty good. But when you kind of zoom out, like, you're clearly trading against some sort of higher time frame, bigger forces, trends to the upside, right? So trading in short was technically higher risk in my opinion. It did look like we were going to pull back to 22.24. I will admit that. It did look like we were going to pull back down to there. I still love this rally-based rally demand zone for potential swing trade longs to get a massive, move to the upside. And, things are looking strong right now. I would say 4 hour and a 1 hour trend to the upside. We could be looking for longs. And if you really want to get in long, the only area I'm seeing as far as the 4 hour chart goes would be this 23.36 area. Good little rally-based rally. Not the best move away, but it is demand. It's not incredible, but it is a good little zone that we could be looking for longs off of. So that is really the only pullback area to the long side that I am looking at this point. But another thing is going to take place that we definitely need to be a little bit concerned about. If you look at the daily chart here, guys, we had a beautiful daily trend. We created a rally-based drop supply zone, and we pushed off of that some sort of liquidity here. We could definitely see a move off the supply zone. I would be shocked if we just blast through the supply at 24.07. I think we will, at minimum, hesitate around here before breaking out to the upside. And why do I think we're going to break out to the upside? It's because the weekly trend is up, right? We're pretty much going off of trends. So yes, if you want to short, this would be our daily supply zone. I think we could get a small move off of this zone, but ultimately, since the weekly trend is up, I'm going to be pretty bullish here. But since we have that weekly demand that's down below that we were pointing out, what is it going to take to push down to a weekly demand zone? I would personally say hitting a daily supply zone, right? Do we really think a 15-minute or an H1 time frame supply zone is going to be responsible for pushing price down a weekly demand? Probably not. So it's very possible we do get a massive move down off of the supply. Who knows? It's impossible to predict. All I'm saying is that the trends on the higher time frames are clearly up. So this is a counter trend supply zone. So it's not high odds, but it's definitely possible we do get a reaction off of it. So if you're bearish, this would be our supply zone to short at. And it's actually more refined here on the 4-hour chart. You can see back here, we had a pretty good little area of supply here, drop base drop, beautiful move away at 24.04. So that's where I would personally be looking for shorts. I think we will probably get some sort of move off that zone. That's just me. That's my personal opinion. That's what I think could happen, and at least push down to the 23.36 area. So that's what I'd be looking for shorts, that 4-hour supply zone there. If not, longs down here at this demand zone at 23.36. I know it might seem like we're all over the map in longs and shorts, and some people might get mad at that, but it's fine, right? I'm just being honest with you guys. I could see both reasons for getting in long and for shorts. Like I said, if we want to pull back down to a weekly demand zone, we're going to probably have to react off a daily supply zone. So if we do pull back to weekly demand, I think it's going to be a reaction off of this supply. And obviously, if we break through the supply zone, all signs are pointing to the upside, especially since the weekly trend is going to break. Ultimately, I personally think we will break this supply zone just based on the weekly trend. Like I said, I could be wrong. So trade accordingly, manage risk accordingly. Yes, we could be looking for shorts at the 4-hour and the daily supply. But since it is counter trend, maybe instead of risking 1%, we risk a 0.5% or something. And then maybe risk a full percent on long trades, right? It's all about managing risk based on the circumstances that we're in. And right now, the higher time frame trends are pointing to the upside. Before we get into the USDJPY analysis, just want to thank everyone for continuing to like and watch the videos. We just got another donation to my local hospice, $80, and that is all thanks to you guys. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe, because all ad revenue generated from these weekly Forex Forecast videos is donated to my local hospice charity. So continue to like the video, share, and subscribe if you are new. Much appreciated, guys. Let's get those donations going. So as far as the USDJPY goes, we had beautiful trends to the upside. Remember, the higher time frames, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute here, they're all up. But clearly, we had a couple trend lines here that were removed, and now we actually have a 1-hour downward trend line. It looks like we wanted to break it, but we got some sort of fake out, probably stopped out the trend line traders, and we have a 1-hour downtrend, which is pretty much phase 1 in a potential pullback. And what I personally see, if you look at a daily chart here, you can clearly see as we are selling off, where are we pulling back into? Well, in my opinion, we have a beautiful, maybe I'm exaggerating. I wouldn't say beautiful, but it is a decent little rally-based rally demand zone. Not the greatest move away, but it did push us to more all-time highs at 159.81. So I do personally think this is a good area to potentially get in long on the daily chart, and it's a good area for a target if you are short. So as far as longs go, honestly, guys, I don't see any reason to get in long at this point until we can hit this daily demand zone. At that point, then we could look for longs on a lower time frame. So that is what I would be doing for longs. As far as trading it now goes, we have a 1-hour downtrend. So what that means is you could be looking for 5-minute time frame shorts as long as this trend line is holding. So if we break above the trend line and close, then I would stop looking for 5-minute time frame shorts. But as long as the trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame shorts are good. So that's what I would be doing with profit margin down to that daily demand. So make sure you map out that daily demand zone on your chart so you can see the profit margin if you are going to be shorting the USDJPY here. Now, like I said, I wouldn't be looking for longs until we can hit that daily demand that's down there. But let's say we push up, we break the downward trend line, leaving us with a 1-hour demand zone. We could look for longs off of that, and that's a zone I will have on the charts for the people who are members. So that's what I'd be looking at for longs and shorts. Pretty much all going to revolve around this 1-hour downward trend line, right? The 4-hour chart isn't showing much. I'm not even going to go to it. I don't see anything on the 4-hour chart that's useful at all. All I'm seeing is this downward trend right now on the 1-hour chart. So pretty much to summarize again, guys, shorts all the way on a 5-minute time frame as long as the trend line is holding. For longs, we need to wait for that trend line to be removed, and then we can look for longs, or we wait for the daily demand zone to be hit at 159.81 for longs as well. So tons of profit margin to the downside, especially if you're a day trader. So I'd be looking to trade short down to that daily demand. Remember though, it is all counter trend. Weekly demand is up, weekly trend is up, daily trend is up. So shorts are counter trend, guys. But since we have a 1-hour downtrend, the counter trend trades are probably the highest quality that we're going to be getting at this point, with clear profit margin down to that 159.81 area. So trade accordingly. Alrighty, on to the GBPUSD, and in the comments down below, let me know your thoughts on the pound. I want to know where you guys think the pound is going. Get specific. I want to know everything you guys think. So let me know in the comments down below. As far as what I'm looking at in the pound, again, we don't have a weekly trend. We don't even have a daily trend either. So things are a little bit confusing right now. If you pull up the daily chart, I was really hoping we can get a pullback down to this daily demand at 1.259. I'll be clear, if we do get a pullback down there, I'm still bullish at that area. I hope we can break the high here, because then we'll have a beautiful daily trend to the upside, and longs and just trading in general becomes higher odds. We know what to do because of the trend. We don't have that right now, so we pretty much have to be a little bit more cautious, in my opinion, here on the British pound. All I'm really seeing is on the 4-hour chart, we had a pretty good downward trend line. It was removed. We had a good supply zone that was blasted right through, no problem. On the 4-hour chart, we do not have a trend here. I would not call this a trend. However, I would definitely call this momentum. I would be crazy to call this downward momentum or whatever, right? It's not a trend in my opinion, but it is momentum. So I would not really be day trading long on the pound at this point. However, if we do get a pullback down to this demand zone at 1.27, I think it's a good area to look for potential longs at that rally-based rally 4-hour demand zone that was responsible for a moving supply. Now, what you could also be waiting for, let's say we don't get the pullback, is waiting for this high to be removed. If that high is removed, at that point, we will have a trend to the upside, in my opinion, on the 4-hour chart, and then we could add day trading longs on the repertoire for trading the British pound as well. I know I said I wouldn't be day trading long. I kind of made a mistake. I forgot the 1-hour trend was up. So in my opinion here, guys, we could be looking for longs just on a 5-minute chart. So I would stay away from the 15-minute time frame longs, and I would stick to only 5-minute time frame longs as long as this momentum is holding. If we get a massive drop, at that point I would hold off, because why? Well, if we do pull back hard, I think it's clear where we're headed, down to that 4-hour demand zone at 1.27 that I said we could get in long at. So I know that it's not the most clear chart. Hopefully we can either get a pullback to demand or break the high. It would just increase our odds of trading the British pound here. But let me know in the comments down below what you think on the British pound. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I want to see if you guys have it figured out. On to the USDCAD. This is the country that I am from, in case anybody's new did not know. Top-down analysis here, weekly sideways, pretty junky, no demand here where we could easily pull back into, so nothing to go off on the weekly chart. Onto the daily chart, you might be, wow, we have demand down below, that's great. Not really, look how much it was tested, right? So no clear demand down here, but what I am seeing is a very, very clear area of resistance here, support. I think we're either going to hold it or we're going to break. I personally think we're going to break it, and why do I think that? Well, if you look at the 4-hour chart, we push back into this support box again that I've had on my chart for a long time, and we push right out of it again. I've had this area of support for so long now. It's even an old area of resistance as well over here. So it's a pretty obvious area in my opinion. And if you look right below, I've been pointing out this demand for so long, I'm getting a little bit sick of it. But it's a good little drop-based rally demand zone at 1.357. So honestly, if we do push back to this demand zone, I personally will be looking for longs in there. I think we could get a move off of it. Do I think we're going to get a massive move? No. And why do I think it's not going to be a massive move? Because we do not have a daily or a weekly trend. If we had a daily and a weekly trend, I would say, wow, this is a zone we could see a massive move off of. Look for like a 10-to-1. This would be more of an area where we look for like a 2-to-1, maybe a 3-to-1 move off of that demand. And if you are bearish, we have supply up here at 1.371. You could see a move off of that supply zone just like we did off of this supply, which I pointed out last week. So it's a good little supply zone, demand zone in the 4-hour chart. Since we don't have a daily or a weekly trend, we pretty much got to point out both sides, right? Like I see reasons to get in short and I see reasons to get in long. I personally prefer the long trade based on the fact that it's a support trap, in my opinion, with some sort of liquidity here. So that is why I'm pretty much interested only in that area of demand there on the 4-hour chart. Now on the 1-hour chart, I would say that we have at minimum a downward trend line on the 1-hour chart. You can clearly see we're reacting off of some sort of 1-hour supply. It is tested now because we've already pushed out of it. So any pushback up will be a second test. But honestly, since this 1-hour supply zone is in control and it's clearly being respected and we are pushing down off of it, I personally think looking for 5-minute time frame shorts is going to be good. And there's clear profit margin to the downside down to that 1.357 area, down to that 4-hour demand. So if you are bearish and you think we are going to pull back down to that 4-hour demand, we have that 1-hour supply zone in control with a 1-hour downtrend. So 5-minute time frame shorts are good here in my opinion, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. I would only stick to the 5-minute chart and then be definitely looking to wrap up the trade at 1.357 at that 4-hour area of demand on the USDCAD. On to the forecast for the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar here. We now have a daily trend to the upside. Not a great trend, but it is a daily trend. And I've identified these two daily zones here. We did just break the daily supply, which is good. So at 0.66666, we do have a area of rally-based rally demand. And if we do pull back down there, I think it's a good potential for a swing trade. And, you know, I know this definitely isn't happening next week, guys, but we do have a demand zone down below. At 0.65, we could react off of that as well. So I'm pretty bullish here on the Aussie. In my opinion, it's a good little daily trend. It's not incredible, but again, it is an uptrend in my opinion. So things are looking good. I think it's longs all the way here on the Aussie with a 4-hour and a 1-hour time frame trend to the upside. So 15-minute and 5-minute time frame longs are both on the table right now. I think those are good for day trading longs. If you're a day trader, you're in luck because not only do we have an H4 and an H1 trend, which is what's required for looking for longs outside of our higher time frames on the 1-hour chart, we also have a daily trend and as well. So that's really, really positive. We are into supply from back here. However, it's been tested already once before. I personally think we are going to be breaking the zone. So as far as longs go on a 4-hour chart, guys, all I'm really seeing is a pullback down to 0.667. Good little rally-based rally with a beautiful move away. I think we definitely could see a move off of that 4-hour area of demand there. If not, let's say we hopefully base out here and push up and we have a new 4-hour demand zone here, we could look for longs off of that as well. Because right now, none of this basing would qualify as demand. So we really need to base up here and create demand right there to get in long like that. So that's what I'm looking for here on the Aussie. Again, I don't day trade, but day trading longs are fine. Beautiful move off the 4-hour demand zone from down below there. And things are looking really, really strong. On the 1-hour chart here, we actually caught this beautiful little demand zone trade here. We broke the downward trend line, gave us a rally-based rally, and we had a nice little pullback entry to that 1-hour demand zone. That was called out in the daily market breakdown video as well. And this 4-hour demand zone here, it's a drop-based rally. It's good. It's inside of that 4-hour demand zone, so it's kind of a refined entry, but ultimately I prefer the 4-hour chart over the 1-hour chart at this point. Yeah, it's a 1-hour zone, but honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with just looking at the overall 4-hour zone that I've pointed out before. So it's longs all the way. We have a daily trend, 4-hour trend, 1-hour trend, nothing but longs on a 5-minute, 1-minute, 15-minute chart, and even on the 4-hour demand zones as well. So again, longs all the way here on the Aussie US dollar. All right, on to the USD Swiss, and this is definitely a confusing chart, and I'm going to show you guys why. We had a beautiful drop-based drop supply, and we are clearly reacting off of that right now. So you might be thinking, wow, we really got to get in short, and I would agree to an extent. However, looking at a weekly chart, what is in control here? A weekly demand zone, and we are pushing off of it. It is being respected at this point. So in the grand scheme of things, this pullback isn't really that much to be concerned about. It's a confusing chart, right? I do not disagree with anybody who says that. I don't really disagree with short trades. So if we do get a pullback up to this 1-hour supply at 0.897, I personally think it's a somewhat decent supply zone to look for shorts. Again, if you don't feel comfortable with a short setup there with a stop above that and a take profit, you could just look for confirmation on a 5-minute time frame to just get that extra confirmation as we react off that 1-hour supply. That's what I'll be looking for personally. And again, since the weekly demand zone's in control, technically longs are better. So for longs, since this daily supply is kind of being respected, I wouldn't be looking for longs until we can remove this daily demand zone. And at that point, I'd say, okay, the weekly demand is really being respected, and we need to look for longs at that point. So really just want to see that supply removed for longs, and that's going to be about it, guys. Do I really want to look for confirmation by removing the 1-hour demand zone? Not really, or supply zones? Not really, right? Since the weekly demand zone control, we need to seek some sort of confirmation on the 4-hour chart. Unfortunately, there's nothing there. There's really no price action to look at. So again, daily supplies in control, some 1-hour supply zones, 1-hour downtrend. I think looking for 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good as well, as long as the 1 hour momentum is holding, supplies are being respected. 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be your best option at this point. Again, the 1 hour supply zone shorts aren't really the best right now, based on the fact that the weekly demand's in control. But again, guys, this whole chart is going to revolve around the 1 hour time frame downtrend. Hopefully that can hold, and then if not, if we break that daily supply, at that point, that'll be my sign that the weekly demand is going to hold and we're going to continue to push up. So I know it's confusing. I'm confused as well what to do here. And whenever I see that, I usually like to stay away. That's just how I trade. All right, last but not least, we're on to crude oil. Just want to talk about this daily demand zone that's down here. It broke a trend line. It is a beautiful rally-based rally with a demand zone below it as well at 78.70. So this is really our target for short trades and where I think price could be headed. Does it really look like we're going to be pulling back to that? Not as far as the daily chart goes, but I just want to point out that we could be retracing back down to that daily demand. And we did actually get some sort of evidence to suggest we could be doing that because we had a 1 hour trend line up here. We actually peaked right above supply, pretty much faked everyone out as the resistance traders and pretty much stopped everyone out, and we pushed down below and broke a trend line as well. So this is our evidence to suggest we could be pulling back down to that daily demand zone. It's not great evidence, but it's pretty much the first phase. Now, if we push back up to that supply at 84.22, that is really the only area I would be looking for shorts. So if you're bearish, this rally-based drop supply zone would be our area for short trades. It is high risk though, based on the daily momentum, but that would be our area for shorts. Unfortunately, this supply zone didn't work out as we faked everyone out, but we have another one there we could definitely look for shorts off of if you are bearish with very, very clear profit margin down to the daily demand at 78.70. But like I said, it's only the first phase of evidence to suggest we could be pulling back. If you look at a 4 hour chart, things are looking beautiful, right? Beautiful 4 hour trend to the upside. So if you think we're going to continue to go up, as long as this trend line is being respected and held, I think looking for 15-minute time frame longs and maybe even 5-minute time frame longs are fine. So again, if the trend line is being respected, if we don't break the trend line and close below, I think looking for the 15-minute time frame longs are definitely fine. And if we push up, break the 4 hour supply above, any 4 hour demand zone there, we could look for longs off of that as well. So the big question is, are we going to be pulling back down to that daily demand? If we do break this trend line, leaving us with a supply zone there, at that point, this would be the second phase of a pullback, and it would be really, really bearish for us. And then, you know, I could safely say, hey, I think we're probably headed down to that daily demand zone, and we're going to see more downward pressure down to that daily area of demand. So really all going to revolve around this 4 hour trend line to the upside. Will it hold? Let me know what you guys think. Again, I would stick to pretty much day trading long at this point only until we can break this supply, or until we can pull back to one of these demand zones on the 4 hour chart as well, which are located near the daily demand zone. So honestly, guys, a little bit confusing on this one as well, but I personally think shorts are okay up here if you are bearish. This would be an aggressive short entry though, right? We still have the 4 hour trend, so it's not a ton of evidence to suggest we could be pulling all the way back down the daily demand. So it's an aggressive short entry in the 1 hour chart, but sometimes aggressive trades pull off, right? This could be a start of a big move to the downside as we potentially pull back to that daily demand zone. So again, the short trades are high risk, but if you are bullish and you want to trade with the trend, it's a beautiful 4 hour trend, and the 15-minute time frame longs are still looking good. But you know, clearly we have seen some sort of momentum shift here, so we could be anticipating a potential break of the 4 hour trend line, which, like I said, that would be our indication. Hey, we're probably pulling back down to the 78.70 area, and then, you know, shorts are fine until we hit that daily area demand here on crude oil. And if you guys want to watch the full length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.